Hey guys, what's up? Dingo Crikey here with another figure review. This time we'll be looking at Transformers Combiner Wars Chromia. This figure was part of the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Combiner Hunters box set, being one of 3 figures. Being it wasn't exclusive, it wasn't released at mass retail, but was only available at San Diego Comic-Con, and then in July of 2015 through HasbroToyShop.com for the price of $74.99, which is a pretty hefty price, even considering there are 3 figures in this box set with some pretty nifty accessories. So the question becomes, are the figures in the box set really that good, hence making the box set worth it? If you're interested in reviews for some of the other figures in the box set, you can go to my channel and check out my review of Combiner Hunters RC, but for this video I'm just going to be focusing on Chromia, the attributes of the figure, hence does it contribute to the box set in a positive way or not. Now, usually I do begin my reviews with discussing the figures box. However, being that this is the same box that comes with each of these figures, I'm not going to discuss it in each video. If you would like to see a thorough examination of the box, you can go to my video review of Combiner Hunters RC, which will be linked here. So for now, let's move aside the box and focus on the figure. So here we have Chromia in her alternate mode, which is some sort of Cybertronian speeder slash motorcycle or something of the sort. This is a repaint and remold of Transformers Prime Deluxe Class RC, but it's so extensive that at a first glance you might not be able to tell that, as the whole top of this vehicle mode is different from that of Prime RC. And I've got to say that the remolding here doesn't really look that contrived, even if the vehicle mode is pretty ambiguous looking. It is nice nevertheless. So let's bring it in for a closer look and a 360. So we have the front here, and I'll slowly turn it around. As you can see, the color scheme is primarily composed of blue, silver, translucent red, and a white-ish color, though I'm not sure if this is entirely white. Now, pointed out here is, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but it almost looks to be like a very, 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 very light blue. I don't know if that's just caused by the combination with the rest of the colors, but it certainly does look pretty nice. You can also see that, aside from the Autobot symbol, she has some additional unique paint applications, such as these swirly, spiky looking things there. As far as detailing, this vehicle mode definitely has some nice intentional detailing here, and probably some unintentional detailing just caused by the transformation, as, you know, it's not too hard to tell that these are the arms, and, you know, we have the legs there. As far as features and functions in this mode, there aren't too many to speak of. This cockpit can kind of open, but it really isn't that effective in this mode, as I'll demonstrate. You know, those things will pop out. It's more so for the transformation. We do have this kickstand, however, which works pretty good. It is working right now, but, you know, you can have some problems with that. You got to kind of position it in the right place, along with positioning the wheel. Without the kickstand, if we're just to push it back, and I'll show you how far it goes, go all the way back, just like that. You know, you can kind of get the figure to stand as well, depending on how you position the wheel. The figure does have a pretty nice rolling feature, but you can see that back wheel's lagging a little bit, so it kind of depends on just, you know, how you position those. Now, as you can probably surmise by the size of the Premium Blade, it really doesn't have any functions in this mode or even storage, so we won't be looking at that. However, she does also come with this pistol blaster, which does have a function in this mode, and I'll let you guys look at for a second here. Same exact thing that came with the Thrilling 30 version of Chromia, and we'll look at how it functions in this mode. Either side of the motorcycle, you have these little pegs here, and all you do is take the pistol blaster, and you can plug it in there. You know, I don't know how much of an intentional feature that was, but it is some sort of storage and gives her a projectile in this mode. Personally, I don't think it looks horrible, but I do prefer the vehicle mode without it. Touching on the color scheme one more time, since it is so significant considering it's an exclusive figure with the color scheme being the main difference. Overall, I think it's really nice looking and, above all, unique, which is something we definitely need to set apart exclusive figures. With the blue, this white that almost has a little bit of a bluish look to it, the silver, they all kind of blend together nicely in what could have been a cool but sort of bland color scheme were it not for the translucent red that we have here and also in the wheels. And while some people may not like that contrast, I find it gives a lot of life to the vehicle mode. Another nice touch we have to the vehicle mode is of course these details here. I do feel as though these look a little bit more crammed and sort of like an afterthought than they look on RC, where her details look really nice, but they still help differentiate it from your normal Transformers figure and are kind of a cool touch. It might have just been helped if she had a little bit more of it throughout. So here we have a comparison with the original Thrilling 30 Chromia figure, and they definitely look like the same character, yet they have enough differences to make them both unique in their own way. And here we have a comparison showing Chromia with the two other Combiner Hunter figures, RC and Windblade. And here's one more comparison. Okay, now we'll get started on the transformation, which is a pretty simple one. First thing we want to do is just take these little pieces here, same ones with these squiggly designs on them, and just pop them out of place. So when this cockpit comes up, it's nice and easy. See, we have that up now. Now you want to make sure you already get this wheel lifted up as well. It's sort of on a double hinge there. And you can flip it to either side you want. I mean, I would think you wouldn't want the screws showing, so we'll put it that way. Make sure this whole part stays up. Next, we'll just flip up this back piece, and now we have the arms freed to move out just a little bit so they don't get in the way of the legs. Now we'll work with the legs. You just push these down, and now that we have the legs down, what you can also do, see here's just push the waist down, and if we can get it to go, and there you go. Head pops out as well. Now, have these wheels back here. Just flip them inwards. Simultaneously, you can push the feet forward, like so. There, the legs are done. And you're almost there. The rest is kind of just situating things. This back kibble, you just want to just push down this abdominal piece. Now, you want to be careful because if you push it down too far, you're not going to be able to get a full range of motion out of the legs. So it's just it's sort of a testing thing. Then this other piece, taken on the double hinge, and it should pop down nice like that. Now just push these pieces downward, or do whatever you want with them really. I think that will work out well. And there we have robot mode. So let's bring the figure up close for a better look at the robot mode. As you can notice, the color scheme is basically the same as we had in the vehicle mode. A lot of blue, gray, that whitish color, silver, some translucent red, except we do have the additional purple in this mode. As you can see on the head sculpt there, which I want to focus on for a little bit, she has that purple paint around her eyes which run down the sides of her face, and then we also have the lips being painted blue. Then we also have some blue paint just to kind of form the face, which I think all looks really nice. I'm sure some people might think it looks a little funky. I really like the color scheme they did there. I'll put the figure down and do a quick 360. Aside from just having a pretty cool color scheme, they also did a really nice job with the paint applications. As you can see, this figure, unlike a lot of the mainline figures we get anymore, does not have an incomplete look. There's a lot of paint applications all throughout, and I think they look pretty nice. As far as detailing, this figure also looks pretty good. It definitely has more of a unique look to it, to look kind of smooth, but you know, not like Transformers animated smooth or anything. It's just there enough to give the figure a lot of character. As far as articulation goes, we have the standard ball joint articulation on the upper leg. However, it is definitely prohibited by this back piece here, and to some extent that could depend on how you adjust it. However, really, no matter what you do with it, you're going to have some problems. You can do a full 360 right around here. At the knees, basically your standard mount definitely isn't going to be able to do things such as sitting with all this kibble back here. No feet articulation to speak of either. Up here though, we have a nice range of motion, and it is prohibited by this back kibble a little bit. Now, this also depends on the way you adjust it. Technically, I believe these pieces are shown as spread out like this for the robot mode. However, I do think it gets in the way of the articulation a little bit more, so ultimately I think it's all, up to choice. What do you think looks better? Also, we have a ball joint at the elbow. Can do a full 360. And of course bend. That's all pretty nice. And we actually have some wrist articulation. Actually, it's more than wrist swivel. As far as the head goes, do a full 360. It's on a ball joint, so, she has a pretty good range. She can only look so far up. That might bother some people. I don't think it's too much of a problem, though. So that pretty much sums up the articulation. It's pretty standard. Definitely is nice to have that wrist articulation, but other than that, it might be a little subpar just because of how the kibble gets in the way. Now time to go over gimmicks and accessories, and first we'll be looking at the pistol blaster, which definitely functions better in this mode. So just take a right hand, you have the handle of the gun, plug it into her hand there. You can position it however you want. Yeah, you're probably going to want to get it pretty straight. And yeah, looks pretty good in this mode. I really like when they do this molding on hands where it can be an open hand. However, you can still fit weapons in there. I definitely prefer that over the fisted hand. But of course, it is not the primary weapon, as that is going to be Chromia blade. And this thing is really, really cool looking. Aside from it just being a massive sword, it just has a nice design. Looks more like a traditional sword than RC's Combiner Slayer, but still has enough character to be unique. Overall, the paint application for one is just really nice on this blade, as we have it being silver and black in the handle and then silver on the edge with a red at the core of the sword. Really cool looking. Definitely seems like they put some care and thought into this. We also have those little paintings towards the bottom of the blade. I do believe that is the same design as Devastator's chest piece, so maybe it's there to symbolize how many combiners they've killed, something like that. Maybe it's just some ritual marking. Don't really know, but it does look pretty cool though. Out of all of the paint applications, it's probably the one that I could have done without. It does add a little bit of asymmetry to the sword. And then we have the handle, which has a really, really cool design, and they can give it this nice bottom because of the way she holds the weapon, which we're about to get to. So let's show how to get the Chromia blade in Chromia's hand. And it's really simple. All you do is fit the hand around the handle of the sword, and there you have it. This feature actually works really nicely. Not only does the fact that Chromia has a little bit more bulk on her than RC help the blade just hold in place better, as we can see. We don't have those same issues with it falling down, at least in most cases it isn't going to. It also looks a little bit more appropriate, like, she can actually handle this weapon. Now for posing purposes, you can also try to get her to hold it with two hands, which is certainly a little bit difficult, but there you have it, sort of working. But because of the articulation on this figure, there really isn't much you can do with it in this position. However, it does look really cool for display purposes. So first up, we have a comparison of Chromia with her Thrilling 30 counterpart. And we can see that they're kind of similar in some ways, but I think that's nice, as it makes this Chromia clearly look like an upgrade rather than a completely different character. While they are both nice in their own ways, this one definitely being more G1 accurate and accurate to the traditional character, I do think I prefer this one in the end. And here we have a comparison of Chromia with a Combiner Wars figure Ironhide and with a Classics figure Optimus Prime. And here's a size comparison showing Chromia with the two other Combiner Hunter figures, RC and Windblade. Final thoughts, I do think that overall this is a really nice figure. While neither modes are perfect, they definitely have enough good qualities such as the detailing, the paint application, the overall look that outweigh the bad, and were it a normal figure I would definitely recommend it. However, that of course is not the case, being that this is a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, and considering that, it definitely limits the recommendations. If you are a casual collector, I'm not sure this is something I can really recommend, just because of the high price, and because these figures are certainly not for everyone, and are definitely not necessary to complete your Combiner Wars collection, though personally I prefer them much more than probably most of the Combiner Wars figures. Also, if you're into buying more pricey Transformers, but you're into like masterpiece quality stuff or really crazy exclusives, these probably aren't your thing. I mean, I would consider them more high caliber than it looks like the Devastator set is, but they're pretty much repainted and retold versions of these three characters. However, if you're just interested in getting the good figures from Transformers, dependent on, color scheme, articulation, how much character is in each figure, the overall look, all that kind of stuff, I would definitely recommend these, and especially Chromia, because all around, she's just a good figure. And if you're into fembots, this set is a must-buy, as we don't get a whole lot of them. Looks like we're probably going to be getting more in Transformers, but, they're still a rarity, and this is one of the better releases of them. But those are just my thoughts on it. You guys can leave your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you think of this figure and the box set? And what did you think of this video in general? Do you think I adequately covered all of the areas of the figure, or maybe there was something that you think could have been omitted? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, along with any topic suggestions you have for future Transformers figure reviews. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more Transformers figure reviews, and have a good one, guys. I'll see you soon.